Hello, welcome to Scrap Time episode 926. My name is Christine, and on today's episode I'm showing you Wendy Vecchi's Crackle Texture Pastes. Today I'm going to be showing you Wendy Vecchi's new Crackled Texture Paste. I have some cards here that I made. This first card I used the paste through a stencil and then I put some distress stains over it, but you should be able to see all the little cracks underneath there, so it just adds a neat texture to your card. And then on these two cards I actually just put some in random places. I didn't put it through a stencil, I just put it directly to the card in random places and then covered them in distress stains. So we're going to check out this paste. I have a card here. I'm using a watercolor card just because of the distress stains we're going to use later. And I'm going to put my stencil down. I thought this circle one would be fun. Open it up. It's got some of the dry spots there. So I'm going to be using my palette knife to apply it. You just put it on the back, hold down your stencil, and then put it on. Now the other fun thing is you can do it all or you can just do areas. Now as you can see, I had some orange on this stencil. That was probably a spray because it's getting into my crackle paste. But that is fine because you can actually dye this as well. You can put some ink, mix it up, or some paints, so you could have colored crackle paste as well. So I'm going to have orange. If orange crackle paste bothers you, then make sure you clean your stencils. And there we go. Oh, pop it there. So I'm going to lift this up. I've got my crackle paste on there. Now because I have orange here, I don't want to put it back into my crackle paste, so I'm going to just clean this right away, get it off. I'm not putting it back in. Normally if it was regular color, I would put it back in to reuse it. So I'm going to put this aside and let it crack. I like to just set it aside and then go back to it once it's dry later on. But of course I have one already dry for you. Now you probably want to wash your stencils to get the paste off, but because this was so big and it's not actually blocking any of my circles, it doesn't bother me as much. But if you are using a really fine stencil, you want to make sure it doesn't clog up those holes, because once it dries it's going to be there. So I'm going to move this aside and bring in my dry one. So I know it's white on white, it's probably hard to see, but once we start adding in some of the stains, that will rectify that. And in this one too, I did it more random. Even though I was using a stencil, I didn't cover the whole thing, so you'll see like blotches in that. So when I use my distress stains, I like to start by water first, and that just adds a barrier to make them run a bit better. They don't just go on and stop, it gives them a bit more movement on your page. So I'm starting with mustard seed. Putting some mustard seed around. Then I have shabby shutters. There we go. And then I'm going to put on some broken china. I'm going to add a bit more water. up that big blotch I put down there. Now, of course, you can do this with distress inks, but I like the stains just because it's so much quicker and oops, flows in around. And just a bit of water to move the inks around, and now I'm going to dry it. So now that my stain is dry, you can see how pretty it is. You see the color coming through the cracks, and it just looks really pretty. Another thing you can do is take some walnut stain and just go over it a bit just to bring out some of those cracks. So there you can see some of those cracks now pop a bit more. Now, because we use stains, you can always put a bit of water on it to activate. Just to add a bit more texture to your card. I'm just going to let that soak in a bit. And then hit it with the heat gun to dry it. So you can see now how we have some little texture around where the water sort of pushed the color out of the way. And then once you are happy with your background, you need to seal it, or else all these little cracks can pick off. So I use some matte medium. I'm using Claudine's, but it's now been discontinued. But Ranger has some other matte medium you can get, or you can use Liquitex or Golden. And I'm just painting over, and you want to make sure you seal in. Now, because these mediums activate with water, you might see a little bit of the walnut stain streaking a bit. You just want to watch that. So once you have a nice thin layer, you've sealed your card. And you can continue on and adding whatever else you want to add. And that is Wendy Vecchi's Crackle Texture Paste. Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to check out our website at www.scraptime.ca. And on our next episode, I'm showing you the Brother Scan and Cut. So please join us. Thanks for watching Scrap Time.